Hey, it's Sam from Sugar Spun Run. Today I want to show you how to make Tuscan chicken pasta. So a while back I shared one of my favorite meals. It's a creamy Tuscan chicken, and while you could serve that over pasta if you'd like, today I want to share a version where we cook everything together, toss everything, the chicken, the pasta together in one pot. The sauce is scaled up nicely so you have plenty for coating your pasta. This is a really flavorful dish. I love it. Really excited to share this one, so let's get started. So for this recipe, we're going to be using 1.5 pounds of chicken. I'm using chicken breast here, and I've gone and cut it up into like bite-sized pieces. I prefer to do this rather than cook the whole breast because you're going to get more flavor on the chicken all around, and it's easier to eat this way. You don't have to bother with cutting up your chicken afterwards. Everything is just in one pot, kind of like my Cajun chicken that I shared a little while back. This just works nicely, especially if you're feeding kids, then you don't have to like cut up their chicken first. So in order to get a nice flavor on the chicken and add some thickness to the dish as well, we're going to coat it in a nice little flour mixture. So I am going to do this in a Ziploc bag, so it makes it easy, but you could do this in like a large mixing bowl instead. Just a little messier that way. So in my bag, I'm going to combine a 1/2 cup or 63 grams of all-purpose flour with a 1/2 teaspoon of table salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper. Go ahead and drop that in there. I shouldn't fold it over my bag yet because I am going to just toss everything together to get that salt and pepper mixed in, and then we're going to add our chicken. Fold that over, drop the chicken right in here. Try not to drop any on my counter. Can I do it? There we go. All right, so the bag just makes things nice and easy because you will make sure you zip it and then just shake things around until all of the chicken is coated. All right, once your chicken's all nicely coated, we're going to move over to the stovetop where we'll start cooking it. So I have a nice, like really large skillet here. This is nice because I'll be able to cook all of my chicken at once, but if you have a smaller pan, that'll work too. I would just recommend cooking the chicken in batches. Cooking in batches will get you a better flavor. If you throw it all in the pot at once, it's going to steam a little bit, so you don't get a nice sear, and then you just don't have as deep of a flavor. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of cooking oil to the pan. I'm just using avocado oil. 1, 2, a splash more because my pan's so big. And I'm also going to add a tablespoon of butter. I'm using salted butter. And let's melt this over medium-high heat. And because my skillet is so big, it'll take a minute for it to heat up all the way. I want the whole bottom of the pan nice and warm. When the butter's melted and the oil's shimmering and everything's nice and hot, then we'll start cooking our chicken. Okay, so basically anytime you're cooking meat, you want to aim to get a nice sear on the meat. I'm sure there are instances in cooking, I'm just not thinking of right now, where that's not the case, but a sear gives you so much flavor, and it's what gives you that like caramelized brown exterior on chicken. If you've ever cooked chicken and it turned out, you know, like kind of gray and not as flavorful, it's because you probably ended up steaming it or cooking it on a heat that isn't high enough. Once our pan is nice and hot, we're going to add our chicken to it. And you know what? I want to listen for a sizzle. If I don't hear a sizzle when I add the meat, I want to wait a second longer because that sizzle means we're getting a nice sear. So obviously my pan just needs another second. Now, if you're in a hurry and this is like a weeknight dinner and you don't have time to, you know, place the chicken in like this, you can just throw it in all at once, but you don't want to dump in all of the flour. There's going to be excess flour, so make sure you don't dump in that extra flour. The extra flour gets discarded. And to reiterate, I obviously don't recommend just dumping in all the chicken at once, but I have been there where you just need to get dinner on the table, so no judgment. Not a lot of judgment, just no judgment. So when you are trying to get a sear on meat, you usually want to put it down and don't move it, don't mess with it. Let it sit undisturbed for like a minute or 2 before you check it. Overcrowding the meat will cause it to steam instead of sear, which just doesn't look as nice. You guys make me nervous, so I'm rushing it a little bit. I want this to be a little warmer. The center of the pan's warm enough, so I'll cook there. And even though I'm using this large pan, I'm still probably going to do 2 batches just to get a nice flavor. By the way, they're doing drywall in my studio today, so pretty soon we will be in a new kitchen cooking. It's still probably going to be a couple months, but we're getting there. All right, let's turn this over. See, we have a nice browning in there. You could even go a little darker than that. We will have a gas stove in the basement too, so we won't be on this little cooktop anymore. I'm really excited about that because right now I'm struggling a little bit with the heat from this cooktop. The outside is not cooking as fast as the inside. It's driving me a little bit crazy. It means my pan isn't evenly heated. So I could have done some things to make this a little bit better, like let the pan heat longer first, but here we are. This is why I won't judge you if you just dump all your chicken in and stir it around and cook it. Your chicken will be gray, but you'll be done. Now, before you take the chicken off the heat, you do want to make sure it's cooked through all the way. You can use a thermometer for that, but I honestly will usually just take my chicken, cut it in half, and take a look at it. Let me show you. Once it's white like that inside, it's cooked through. Do whatever you are most comfortable with, though. If you want to temp every piece of chicken, that's fine. So the cooked chicken goes over to a plate. Look at this sad, unbrowned chicken. All this pan space, and it's not even paying off for me. So the chicken that we've cooked, we're going to cover with foil, just to like lightly tent it, just to keep it warm. Loosely tent it. Just wait till I get my gas stove. Do a couple thermometer checks. It's possible that between batches you might need to add more oil. I probably wouldn't add any more butter, but you could. But it's just easiest to add a splash more oil. So if you need to, you can do that. Also, if you accidentally charred your pan and you have like something burnt, not browning. I've got browning going on here. I love to see that browning. I have some people in my family who sometimes have a tough time and they end up burning things. If that happens, I'll usually take some paper towels and wipe it out, and then add some more oil. Oh, there's still chicken in here. We don't waste butter. We definitely don't waste chicken. Not at today's prices. So there's a little bit of flour remaining in here. We're just going to toss that. You don't need it in your dish. In fact, it could make things a little too pasty if you were to include it. Let's get the rest of our chicken out of here. And you can see that browning on the bottom of the pan. That's actually good stuff. Don't worry about that. So long as yours isn't like blackened and charred, we are going to work that into our dish, which is going to make the sauce a little like muddy looking, but it's going to add a bunch of flavor. So we tent this and move quickly because my pan's hot. I'm going to turn my heat down to medium, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of oil, precisely a tablespoon. That might have been a little heavy. And a tablespoon of salted butter. Get this melting. And once the butter's melted, I am going to add my onion and my pepper. So I have a cup of chopped yellow onion. This is like one medium yellow onion chopped. You don't have to be precise with this. And I'll also add about a cup of chopped red bell pepper. I really just chop up one red bell pepper, however big it is. This one was extra large, so I don't want to waste it. I'm not going to just use part of the pepper, so I'm using all of it today. A little extra pepper, a little extra color. And we are just going to mix these up, get them coated with that butter and that oil, and we will cook the veggies until they're nice and soft, and this usually takes about 5 minutes. Now, at this step, runaway pepper, good thing we have some to spare, we are going to start cooking our pasta as well. So over on my other stove top, I am going to grab a pot of water and I will generously salt it. And we're going to bring this to a boil and we'll cook the pasta according to package instructions. Usually this times things well enough that the pasta ends up finishing about the same time the sauce finishes, but if yours finishes early, just drain it. If you're close, you can just let it sit. If you're not close, you can drizzle a little bit of oil on it to keep it from sticking. That's not ideal, but like if your pasta's ready way in advance, you don't want to be stuck with like a giant clump of pasta that's all stuck to itself. Oh, and then for pasta, you can use any shape pasta you'd like, but this meal really works well with like a nice round noodle that the sauce can really cling to, like a penne. Rigatoni noodles would also work really well. You can even use like spaghetti noodles, that would be fine, but this works really well, little penne noodles. Okay, so once these veggies are nice and softened, we're going to add a couple more ingredients, starting with our sun-dried tomatoes. Love sun-dried tomatoes. They are going to add so much of the flavor to this dish because they're usually marinated in like herbs and oil. Now, you want to get as much oil off the tomatoes as possible. I don't go crazy, but I do drain them really well, and then sometimes I might dab them with a paper towel just to get off the excess, because if there's too much oil, it can cling to the tomatoes too much. It can make things a little bit too oily. So you want the excess oil off. You want to use julienne sun-dried tomatoes. They're usually sold that way. However, my grocery store annoyingly hasn't had them the past couple times, so I just bought sun-dried tomato halves, and then I cut them into small strips. You don't want to use, halves without cutting them because it's just too much. It's not enjoyable and it doesn't distribute well. Oh, and for amount, this is a cup of the sun-dried tomatoes. Usually a jar, like a standard sized jar, will give you as many tomatoes as you need. I think these halves were in an 8.5 ounce jar. Let's go ahead and add these, stir them in quickly, and then I'm also going to add some minced garlic. This is 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. We're going to add that right to the center. Get that all in there. Love garlic. And we're going to cook this until the garlic's nice and fragrant. It's going to take like 30 to 60 seconds. Keep it moving so it doesn't burn. You burn your garlic, you ruin the whole dish. Garlic's nice and cooked in, so let's add our spices. I am using 2 teaspoons of dried basil. Sprinkle that over. 1.5 teaspoons of dried thyme. If you have a thyme sprig, you could use that instead and let it sit in the sauce. That would be fine. We'll do a 1/2 teaspoon of table salt or fine sea salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. Bonus points if you grate your own, or grind your own, which I'm not doing today. Also, we add a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. And if you like a little heat, add 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper as well. All right, we'll stir this in briefly. Get nicely worked into those veggies. And here's where we're going to get rid of that browning on the bottom of our pan. So we have 3/4 cup, which I think is like 177 milliliters of chicken broth here. I'm going to add about half of this to the pan. And I'm going to drizzle it right on that brown spot. I'm steaming up my camera, so I should have had some foresight with this. Hopefully you can see from another angle. All right, I got my very technical help to help with that steam. Okay, back to the chicken broth. We're gonna add half of the chicken broth, about, you can eyeball it. And we are going to cook this chicken broth until it's all been evaporated. It's going to cook into the veggies. And while we're doing this, I'm scraping the bottom of the pan to work up any browning. Okay, once that's good, we'll add the rest of the chicken broth, followed immediately by 2 cups of 1/2 and 1/2. And we're going to drizzle the 1/2 and 1/2 in slowly. And while I'm doing this, let me actually take a moment to reduce my heat to medium-low. With a cream, you don't want a super high heat. And we are doing this gradually to get everything nicely incorporated. Now, our pasta is just about finished cooking at this point. So at this point, I will go ahead and I'll add my chicken back to the pan, along with any juices. Get that chicken nicely warmed up. Pasta is done cooking. Let's add this into the pot as well. Try not to splash myself. Get in there, noodles. Lost one in the sink. I also have 1 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. I'm using fresh grated Parmesan cheese. It's a lot of grating, but it's worth it to use the fresh cheese. It's like 80 grams of Parmesan. Oh, it's a lot of cheese. It's so good. Grate a little extra for topping too. We're also going to be adding some spinach, fresh baby spinach. This is 4 cups of spinach, which is a giant pain to measure out spinach like accurately. So you might have a little more or a little less. So there's 100 grams if you want to weigh it. And the spinach is going to be super obnoxious at first because it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have any room left, but it'll cook down, as anyone who's ever cooked spinach knows. All right, let's get everything mixed together. And our heat should be, the spinach, and our heat should be medium-low at this point. One of the things you want to be careful of with this sauce is, oh, I think I just turned it off. One moment, I'm professional here. As I was saying, one of the things about this sauce, this cream-based sauce, is if you heat things too quickly and it gets too hot, you can end up having the sauce split and it can be like oily, and that's not what we want. We want a nice, smooth, velvety sauce. So we're going to get all of these ingredients nicely mixed in, if the spinach will cooperate. And then we're going to stir this really well, and we're going to cook it over medium-low heat until the cheese is all melted, the spinach is wilted, and the sauce is thickened. And the sauce usually thickens pretty quickly. I'm so excited to eat this for my lunch. I hope you are as excited about this dish as I am. On my Tuscan chicken, which this is obviously closely based off of, a lot of people said it's very similar to something called Marry Me chicken. The dishes have similarities, and I could totally see why this would be called Marry Me chicken, because this is a good way to get proposed to. Serve this to someone. All right, and you can see this sauce now, it's thickened. It's just slightly thickened. You don't want it to be super thick. It's not like a mac and cheese sauce, but it should be velvety. It should cling to the noodles and coat them and coat the chicken. There's so many flavors. I love it. I really, really think you are going to love it too. All right, time for lunch. Let me know if you guys want to see more dishes like this. I also do appreciate recipe requests. Can't make everything, but let me know if there's anything you'd like to see me make on here. More savory, more sweet, just let me know. All right, that is my Tuscan chicken pasta. Really, truly excited for you to try it. I think I've said that a million times. If you do, let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. I really do always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. My favorite part of the day. Some of those sun-dried tomatoes in there. That is good. Let me know if it gets you a proposal. Maybe I'll change the name.